So this is from the Washington Post, and right at the top of the page of this article of the Washington Post, and they had their own little slogan: Democrats lie in darkness. Oh, that can't be right. Let me get my reading glasses on. Oh, democracy dies in darkness. Yep, absolutely right, Washington Post. And as I go through this article, let's see how much the Washington Post want to keep people in the dark on this particular subject. Anyway, the headline of the thing is: Don't be a bachelor, why married men work harder and make more money. Well, I think we're already all aware of that anyway. They won't work harder because they're married and they have to work harder. And then when you have children are very expensive, they have to work harder still. Now, this article's by W. Bradford Wilcox, so let's have a look at it. It's increasingly common these days for young people to regard marriage as just a piece of paper. Well, I don't blame them, because that's exactly how politicians regard marriage, and that's exactly how divorce court judges regard marriage licenses. They're just a piece of paper, as certainly here in Britain, as are prenuptial agreements. They don't mean a damn thing. Divorce court judges can just rip them up and do what they usually do, which is just give the woman everything she wants and just leave the man in the street. Anyway, a record share of Americans are postponing or forgoing marriage. Well, this is very contentious. There's been an attempt to suggest online that men want to get married more than women. It's a crock. When you think of those dating sites on the internet, women outnumber men 7-1. They are the desperate ones. It's men who are putting off marriage. There is no real equivalent for the MGTOW. I don't really call it a movement. It's just men going their own way, and it's mostly, as far as I'm concerned, because of the divorce system. Obviously, there are various other factors: hypergamy, women being gynocentric, and anyway, and a growing share of young adults think marriage is obsolete or comparatively unimportant. Okay, but Doug Talby, a 37-year-old from Maineville, Ohio, is not one of those marriage naysayers. Well, I'll tell you right now that he is the only example used in this entire article. It makes me think of that old Stalin quote from Joseph Stalin: "One death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic." And this is a common thing that media people do, is that they'll take one example and use that as a sort of this one shining beacon of a marriage, I suppose, should give us all hope for the future, and we should all be inspired by it. It kind of reminds me of the, I don't know how many people out there have ever had these, they don't seem to do it anymore, but those children's charities, they used to stick envelopes through my door, little envelopes, and they'd want you to put money in the envelope and then hand it to them when they called round to pick it up. And they will always feature one little child, a 5-year-old with big wide eyes, starving in Africa, didn't have enough water, and it rents at your gut. And I get the impression that that's what this article is doing. Anyway, at age 18, Talby was content to work a $16,000 a year job operating a press at a factory in Indiana and live in his parents' basement. "I really didn't have a care in the world," he said. "I didn't really have any bills." Well, there you go. He was a happy chappie. After marrying at 19, oh good God, and having kids, Talby's perspective changed. "I had to step up and think about something besides myself and start taking care of them." Well, yeah, he had to man up. Boy, trapped at 19, imagine that, guys. Talby quit his factory job, joined the army, well, great, where housing and healthcare for a family were included, and his annual salary jumped to about $24,000, and then saw regular opportunities to get promoted as to provide a better lifestyle for them. Recently, in a bid to boost his family's income, he left the army to work as a finance manager at a car dealership, where he's now pulling in 6 figures. Well, that is one hell of a leap. Men who are reluctant to settle down until they make more money? No, I don't think that's the reason that men don't settle down. And women who spurn low-wage men, yeah, there's your hypergamy, could benefit from what Talby has discovered. Marriage has a transformative effect on adult behaviour, emotional health, and financial well-being, particularly for men. Now, what isn't mentioned in this article, of course, is divorce. So let's have a little look at what happens to divorced men. And I've switched over to an article that I found on mensdivorce.com, and this says that Divorce, this is for men, increases the rate of early mortality by up to 250%. Men have higher risks of both mental and physical health problems following a divorce. These include greatly increased rates of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, depression, suicide, substance abuse, and even cancer. Well, thank you very much. I'll leave links to both of these articles in the comment section and pin them to the top. But the last divorce figures I saw from Britain, and that was quite recently, showed that 42% of marriages end in divorce in this country, and the average length of a marriage is about 12 years. Now, what's the bloody point? And you have a couple of children, the wife divorced you, she steals absolutely everything you have, and 12 years, and then how many years after that of misery? I should check out the average age at which people get divorced, but when people get married, presumably they're very happy on their wedding day, but marriages just don't, that isn't 12 years of happiness, and then boom, all of a sudden it just reverses itself. That's years of, misery that men must go through. So how many happy years does the average man really get out of a marriage? So this Washington Post contributor continues, marriage also transforms men's social worlds. They spend less time with friends, more time with family, they go to bars less and to church more. So I'm going to get married for 12 years. Years of that's going to be miserable. I have the choice of that and spending time with my family that I'm soon going to lose anyway. And I drag them off to church where I got married. And I have the alternative of that or going to bars with my friends. Of course, you don't have friends when you get married that aren't approved of by your wife. That she wants to vet your friends. And I've had this done to me by married women. And they haven't wanted me anywhere near their husbands, and understandably so, because I advised so many of them not to get married in the first place, and they told their wives about that, so their wives weren't too happy, and some of them have been divorced and lost everything. Anyway, our research featured in a recent report, For Richer, for Poorer, How Family Structures Economic Success in America. Yeah, no doubt it did. And who sets out to destroy it? Politicians, the mainstream media, and feminists. And now all of a sudden, people. This article is actually quite a little bit old, but it's still significant, just as significant now as it was, a couple of years back, because the media is still at it now. Because I've seen an increasing number of articles desperately trying to persuade men how good marriage is for them, and it's a crock. And it points out here that this survey showed that men who are married work about 400 hours more per year. Who the fuck wants to work all those bloody hours? And what is this guy peddling? Could it simply be that the kind of men who get and stay married have certain characteristics? Perhaps the marrying kind is more charming, hard-working, or ambitious. Well, on the other hand, he may just be a stupid prick who hasn't paid a scrap of attention to all the divorce going on around him and paid attention to the fact that the mainstream media, and it seems that women by and large, have a fucking hate campaign against men. And there was a survey I saw that was carried out by AOL in conjunction with some other organisation, this was years ago, that suggested over 80% of married women, if they had the choice of going back in time, would not have married their husbands. It's making me hoarse because it's making me angry. And yet the research suggests blah blah blah. And another study of twins found that study of twins, who carried out that? Dr. Mengele? Twins earn 26% more than their identical twins who were not married. I'm just wondering whether there's an equivalent for women, because they hold, when it comes to marriage and divorce, when it comes to the divorce, the woman holds all the cards in the pack, bar one. If you're a man, you have one card in the pack, and that's the joker. Anyway, some worry that what we're really saying is that it is wives' jobs to make their men better. How patronising. Here are some of the ways marriage appears to transform men's approach transform men's approach to work and the way employers treat them. 1. After marrying, men assume a new identity. Now, Jesus Godfathers. No, we've gone through that with the church and the no friends left and can't go to the bar anymore, and you answer to her. New identity, yeah. And this, two of the most common reasons that women complain to these so-called relationship experts about their husband, the man in their life, is he's changed. Yeah, because you fucking changed him, you stupid bitch. Or alternatively, you get, I tried to change him, but it didn't work. Who the fuck do they think they fucking are? You imagine a man, how many times have I heard that or read that? Loads of times. The nerve of women. I'm not bothering with much more of this. Married men are motivated to maximise their income. You know, they're forced, they're driven like fucking donkeys. You know, their wives like a millstone around their neck. They bring home most of the money, and women spend over 80% of the household income. I'm getting really fed up with this now. 3. Married men benefit from the advice and encouragement of their wives. Advice and encouragement. For advice and encouragement, read hectoring, bullying, nagging, cajoling, demanding. 4. Employers like married men with children. Yeah, I bet they do. Double slaves then. See, the employer knows full damn well that the married man is going to work these far longer hours, so it benefits them. And they also know that as long as they're married, they're not in a position to swap jobs or get out of their jobs. So, you know, it's so obvious there. Anyway, this writer serves as he directs the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia. Well, there you go then. Okay, I think he should try looking into divorce sometime. Thank you.